Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. We are here live on April 18th, 2025. Back at it with another Friday live. We're doing live tarot readings this evening, so if you can see me, give me a thumbs up, like the stream so other people know that we are here. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys on Thursday. I've been kind of like fighting a cold all week, so I'm starting to feel a little bit better. If you're tuning in for the first time, let me know in the comments in the live chat where you're tuning in from. And just as a reminder, if you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday, we are no longer live. So we were here on Friday. Hope to catch you guys next week. If I missed you, we will be doing live readings for the new moon in Taurus. So you guys, most of you guys know the drill. Some of you guys are new. So I'm here every Friday. In order to get a reading, you scan the QR code right up there. It's going to take you to my PayPal. Now, it's very important that you guys put your information in the memo box. Put in the memo what your specific question is. We're doing 1 card spreads for $20 US donations, and we're doing 3 card spreads for $40. Or you guys can join memberships, and if you join my level 3 memberships, you're going to get a reading from me once a month. On one of my lives, you can choose tarot or astrology, and you don't have to wait in line. So if there are anybody, any of my level 3 members here who want to cash in, let me know. We still have another Friday next week, so if you guys want to hold out for that, you can. Otherwise, I give you guys a heads up and let you know who I have in the queue. Sometimes we have a lot of readings, so every so many readings, I'll take a break and let you guys know where I'm at with the roll call. We will also let you know when we're closing the queue. So you'll hear final call, or you'll hear that readings are going to close at some point. So you just want to get in before then. We have got waiting in the queue. We've got Lula, Katie, Matthew, Anna, Alana, and David. What's up? Thank you for joining. I'm not sure who you are in the PayPal. Sometimes your guys' YouTube name is different than your PayPal name. So if you did not put your information in the box, that's fine. You can send it in the chat if you want. You can just plug that in and let me know what your specific question is for the tarot. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you guys want to join my memberships, there's 3 different tiers. You can support me as a full-time content creator. I'm putting out about 4 videos a week. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Usually midweek, you guys are going to get new or full moon reports. We're going to do a breakdown of some of the major transits. Sometimes I create some fun videos for you guys too, if you guys have caught my Q&A videos or my getting ready with me. And we have horoscopes that come out every week, and then we do astro weather every Sunday. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that content. If we don't have any level 3 members, that's fine. We're gonna get started, and we're gonna take Lula, Katie, and then Matthew. So you guys are all on deck. And I'll be pulling the cards live. You'll see a cool overhead shot of the readings as we go. So let's take a look and see what Lula has to say. All right, so what's up, Lula? Welcome back, nice to see you. What's up, Dave? Happy Friday. All right, so Lula says, I would like a 3-card reading, please. Her question is, will I get into a relationship this year? 24-degree Taurus rising with Cancer, Sun, and Moon. Thanks in advance. Well, let's take a look and let's see what the tarot can tell Lula about relationships. Certainly colorful times, having had Uranus going through your first house. That's a very kind of free and on your own type transit. To see more of what's going on with relationships, you're definitely going to want to take a look at what transits are going through your 7th house and what's happening with your natal Pluto or Mars. Now, just like a tip, in the next week, we're going to see Mars and Pluto opposed. So for Taurus risings, it gets a little colorful in terms of how to navigate relationships to career and family. But let's see if a relationship is in the cards for you in this next year. All right, so in this order, we've got the Page of Swords, the 9 of Coins, and the 6 of Wands. Move this around a little bit. There we go. So basically, these are some pretty positive cards here. You know, the Page of Swords can be kind of talking about a new encounter, somebody new that you're going to be meeting. This is the element of air, so it is connected to Geminis, Libras, as well as Aquariuses. So that's something you're going to kind of keep in the back of your mind that might potentially be a sign that you're going to be kind of encountering. But the Page of Swords can also talk about like a new beginning when it comes to a shift of your mindset, how you're thinking about relationships, what you're looking for, feeling a little bit more bold and daring in putting yourself out there and letting people know what it is that you want in a relationship, speaking, what's on your mind. This can also mean that through opportunities like travel, as well as continuing education, workshops, or any social opportunities, this is going to liken the ability for you to be able to meet somebody and get into a relationship. But I think your mindset is, okay, I'm really focusing on communicating where I'm going, what my plan is, and you're going to find that you're a little bit more forward in discussing what it is that you're looking for in terms of a committed relationship. Watch for, like I said, other than air signs, you can also meet people who are involved in like communications, writing, blogging, media, anything to do with education, and sometimes even like publishing can kind of come up when you're dealing with the element of swords. Now, the current position you have is the 9 of Coins, and this is a great card to have. I love it when people ask questions about relationships and they get the 9 of Coins, because I always tell them it's about being in the moment. It's also really savoring and appreciating the time that you have with yourself, because the 9 of Coins represents like a well-kept woman, somebody who's independent, somebody who's bold, and does not mind being alone. She enjoys like the spoils of all of her riches and being able to focus on herself. So this coming up in a relationship reading can kind of indicate when you are in the place where you're like, I am not thinking about it, I'm not looking for it, I don't feel like I need it, and you're starting to kind of get comfortable doing your own thing. That's when you're going to realize that somebody's going to pop in. This can also mean that somebody will observe that the way that you're kind of living your life and also the way that you're prioritizing yourself, they're going to find that attractive. They're going to like that you're independent. They're going to like that, you maybe enjoy some of the finer things in life. That's definitely a very Taurus quality. But also you might just be in the moment. Like I could see this as, you're going and, you're dining out, or you're going and you're kind of splurging at, a bookshop, or maybe you're kind of going through, some fine clothes or something, and you're really enjoying yourself. And in that moment of you really prioritizing doing what you want to do, somebody's going to see that and they're going to find that attractive. They're going to find that alluring. Now, some of my green light cards would definitely be 6 of Wands, maybe Ace of Cups, 10 of Cups, maybe Ace of Coins, in terms of saying, yes, you are going to see a relationship unfold. Now, the cups do deal with relationships. They deal with emotions and emotional connection and depth. So we don't have any cups coming up, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a relationship opportunity. It means that really you're going to be victorious in what it is you're searching or you're seeking to kind of accomplish this year. So if the goal is, getting into a relationship, the 6 of Wands is talking about being victorious. Also, it can be another travel card. So this is a traveling card when it comes to going places. This is like a homecoming card. So coming and going from 2 locations, visiting a friend, visiting family, things like that can also kind of trigger opportunities for you to meet someone. The 6 of Wands is also about feeling like you're going where you're welcomed or where you're wanted. So you might be noticing that there's more attention this year. You have people that are inviting you to things. There's more opportunities for you to do some short distance trips or connect with people in some of your local kind of nearby areas. And you'll also find that there's going to be lots of opportunities, like offers. Like you're not going to be short of meeting any potential suitors. I kind of feel like with the 6 of Wands, if you see, he's got the higher vantage point. He's sitting on the horse and he's kind of figuring out where he wants to go. And everybody is kind of like calling his name and excited to see him, and they're kind of cheering him on. So it can mean that you're looking down on a series of like people that you've met and you're like, okay, all of these people have potential. All of these people clearly are interested in me, but which one do I want? So I like with the 6 of Wands as well as the 9 of Coins, it seems to like signify you not only have a choice in the matter, but you're going to feel like you're going to be taking the pick of the litter. So be selective, be very particular. The Page of Swords can be about asking a lot of questions. It can also mean that you're really taking your time to get to know people, maybe traveling with them, doing like a weekend away or anything like that is going to give you an opportunity to pick their brain and really see what they're all about. So you can get to the core of what they're looking for, if you guys are on the same path, if you're compatible, and knowing that there's no rush, that you can take your time with the 9 of Coins coming up is also very important. It's saying enjoy the process, let people kind of like woo you, wine and dine you. Be in a place of feeling like you don't need a relationship, that if one shows up, you welcome that and like make them work for it. I think that's the other key, because 9 of Coins is like, what can you give me that I cannot give myself? So this is not just about being kept in a financial sense. This is about really feeling like you're secure. The relationship you have with yourself is really good. You really value your alone time and you're not willing to just let anybody in. Look for shifts happening somewhere between, I would say, June and September. That's when you're going to start to see kind of a turning point. Obviously, being a Taurus rising, you've got eclipses that are going to be in your 5th house this year. Which is really great for romance, and you're going to see things really kind of kicking off from the end of summer all the way into the fall as transits move from your 5th through your 7th house. Hope that's helpful for you. All right, we've got Katie, Matthew, and then Anna. What's up, Rosie? Thanks for listening and working out with us. All right, so let's see what Katie has to say. Katie says, what should I focus on within the realm of my business? I am a Scorpio rising. Katie J, that is for you. We don't have any level 3 members tonight, so they're probably all going to show up next week for the new moon. So let's take a look at what we can tell Katie in regards to giving her insight about her business dealings. Obviously, love, being a Scorpio rising. Just as a heads up, the next week is very intense with Mars in opposition to Pluto, but a new moon's going to give you an opportunity to focus on new partnerships, connections, collaborations, and people who can kind of guide you to find the balance between what's going on with the past and the future with your career. Well, that's so appropriate that I was just talking about that 7th house new moon and you pull the Justice card. So I feel like this is not just about balance in a sense of, okay, which change is actually going to help me, right? It's also, I think, talking about karma and cause and effect. This is a card also that deals with Libra. So there can be Libras coming in, obviously new moon in your 7th, new relationships. But I think a lot of Scorpio risings are kind of going through this reassessment through the Mars retrograde over the last couple of months. That's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? What am I doing? And now that Mars has come back into your 10th house, it's giving you this opportunity to be like, okay, you know what? I got to get back out there. I have to put myself out there. I have to be willing to be competitive. I have to take risks. I have to take chances. I have to also be seen. And that's been kind of problematic. Some of the oppositions to Pluto means that there's been some intense stuff going on emotionally with your home life or with your family. And you kind of feel like it can't be one or the other, right? Like there's one or another thing that's going back and forth. The new moon that's coming in and like the transit with the sun in your 7th house, relationships, is very much the Justice card. People coming in to help bring balance. So this could be managers, counselors, therapists, astrologers. This could be new romantic relationships. This could be also talking about what you're wanting to sell, what you want to put out there, wanting to promote something. Or people who are just going to kind of support you emotionally along the way as you're kind of going through some of these changes. I would really be prioritizing not just the people who can kind of help counsel you, but also how can you collaborate? How can you connect with other people? I think about Mars going through the 10th and people are going to see you as like a force to be reckoned with. They're going to see you as somebody who is very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Competitive. You might maybe even a little intimidating, and they're going to be like, whoa, what is she doing? And I think that opening the door to saying, hey, I also would like other people's feedback, or I would like to have people to connect and collaborate with, or I would love to have more clients or more support, is going to soften some of the edges that are going to kind of come up with the Mars-Pluto stuff. Libra placements, Libra risings, Libra suns, Libra moons, I might be kind of popping up for you as well. I see that you say there's a Libra rising older man who's been giving me a lot of advice. Okay, there you go. So, and that makes sense also. Like I think of like Libra risings and they've got retrogrades in the 6th where they're helping other people, right? And also they're focusing on how they can have, new clients or how they can be having new partnerships that can really help them help other people, because that's where they're going to feel like they're going to be able to do the best work. So I do feel like reach out to those who are supporting you, ask for advice, do a little bit of back and forth, and consider powerful connections and collaborations that can really help pave the way for getting more work done, for getting more recognition, and also I think making a little bit more headway in going in the direction that you want to professionally, okay? Hope that's helpful for you, Katie. We have got Matthew, Anna, and Alana. And if you guys are just joining us and if you want to get a reading, scan the QR code right up there. It's going to take you to my PayPal. We're doing 1 card readings for 20, 3 card readings for 40. Make sure you put your question in the memo box, please. Leave me a love note. Okay, we got Matthew V. Matthew says, hey Candace, I got a reading a few months ago from you about my work crush. That was very positive, as well as the up and coming trip to Chicago, which sounds exciting. I'm wondering though about how things will develop with my work crush once I come back from my vacation. Him and I have been closer and flirtier than ever. I genuinely trust him and enjoy his company. He's even openly said that he would really miss me while I'm gone. Any predictions for what will take place for when I return? I'm a Taurus sun, Libra moon, Cancer rising, and he's, from what I understand, a Virgo sun, Leo moon. Well, I love that you're a Cancer rising and you have had like the retrograde in your 9th and you've been planning your trip and now you're getting ready to go, and then they tell you they're going to miss you. That's very like Venus, Saturn in your 9th. Like, you know, Saturn is relationships. Venus can be them saying to you, hey, I'm going to miss you when you're gone. But let's take a look and see what the cards can tell us about the dynamic between you and the work crush once you return. When are you going on that trip again? I forget. I know you're excited. Aren't you like going with like 2 of your girlfriends or your friends or something? All right, so in this order, bam, bam, bam. Oh, I love this. Is this gonna be the card of the evening? Is it gonna be the 9 of coins? That would be a nice change from what we've seen in recent weekends. So 9 of coins in the past position, I kind of feel like this can be a sassy card. This can be a very confident card. It can mean that maybe there has been a sense of playing hard to get. Maybe there has been a sense of being very, confident in the way that you interact with him back and forth at work. There is this sense of we can both do our own thing, but you know, we can kind of admire each other from afar, come together and appreciate the fact that we're both like super solid and good at what we're doing, but also we're taking our time. We know our worth. That's like the theme of this card. So I do feel like there is this sense of having kind of, you know, fluttered around each other at work and spending a lot of time together. That time apart is actually going to be a good thing. I feel like there can be a sense of having more appreciation from you, definitely missing you, and also like noticing the shift at work with you not being around and like coming back being like, oh, I missed that. I miss what they kind of bring to the dynamic. I miss the fact that, you know, they're super self-sufficient, but also like they care about what I'm doing and they'll check in with me. And like you bring something to the table that really adds to the work dynamic. And they're going to kind of realize like, wow, that's like things were kind of boring when they were not here, or I didn't have anybody to kind of like fawn over. Oh, absolutely. And I like him in a way and he's probably not used to. Yeah. So, you know, I feel like the eye candy is going to be out of the office, right? So there is this sense of being like, wonder what they're doing. Because when you're around, they get the impression that you're very confident. They don't really feel like you need the attention. You're not like kind of, you know, hanging on every word that they're saying. So they're going to be like, well, you know, are other people going to see that when he's like out and about? Are other people going to be attracted to that? So there can be this sense of being like, like I wonder if anybody is kind of, you know, catching what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis. Just some food for thought. You've got 2 aces coming up here. So there's only 4 aces in the deck. We have the Ace of Wands in the current position, which means like excitement. Like even though maybe you're like, I'm not going to see my work crush for a couple of days, like, you know, whatever, like you're excited, like your mindset is on all of the things you're going to go and do, the places you're going to go to, the experiences you're going to have, the people you're going to meet, all the planning. Like there is a sense of being very present with this trip, right? And everybody always, you know, maybe you're like me, you get excited and you plan everything and then you get there and then it's like your mind starts wandering, and sometimes it's like all the things you have to do when you get back home, right? Ace of Wands is saying that's not the case. It's saying be excited for where you're going. I feel like the break is going to be a good thing. This is like the match that kind of lights the flame, or lights like the, you know, the candle. So it is saying that there can be a lot more touchy-feely hugs, you know, like affection, like excitement, like when you get back. Be present with your trip. Have fun. Go and do your thing. He'll be there when you get back. Nothing's going to change. If anything, I feel like he may be kind of curious. I don't know if you guys like talk a lot outside of work, but there may be a sense of kind of keeping up with what you're doing, because the Ace of Wands is like go, 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 and not super focused on what's back at home or who's at home or what you have to do. It's like, nope, go have fun, do your thing. If you guys communicate, there can be a sense of them being like, I'm excited for you, like have fun, like send pictures, or, you know, I'll check in with you. And they may be curious as to either how your trip went and they want to see all of the things that you did, or they're going to be checking in with you while you're gone. So there is some sense of them kind of sharing in that excitement of you going and having a good time. Obviously, the Ace of Wands is also about sexual energy. It's about kind of affection and, you know, touchy-feely things. So you can get a very warm welcome when you return. I also feel like aces are always about offerings, okay, and giving people things. So I don't know if this is going to be like you going, this is what we did today, or if it's about you coming back and being like, hey, I got you this thing on my trip. I was thinking of you. But there can be some exchange aspect that's happening here. And whether you bring a gift back, or they say to you, hey, you know, text me photos of what you're doing, or I want to see, you know, when you go and do this event, like there will be an offering or an exchange that you're going to want to watch for. Exactly what I was thinking, like me leaving for a week or two will be a good thing. Yeah. And, you know, obviously the coming home card, the final card is the Ace of Cups. So that's like, that's the new relationship card. That is the crossing the barrier card. That's the, oh my gosh, you know, like more emotional, more vulnerable, opening to a new kind of level in your guys' connection. Like it can very much be them being more relationship oriented, or telling you like, wow, I really missed you and got me thinking, you know, and then maybe it opens the door for you guys to be able to kind of explore more of a relationship outside of work. This is a very affectionate card, where this is kind of like maybe hugs and high fives and excitement. This is kind of like opening the door to being more aware of the fact that maybe they want more, right? Maybe it's like, oh, what would my life be like if this person was like not in my life? So that might, you know, have them in their feelings a little bit, and being a little bit more vulnerable and initiating conversations that can have you guys discussing, yeah, okay, I feel the same way. Oh, interesting. All right. So like, what are we doing here? You know, and that will give you guys the opportunity to explore more of like a relationship and a commitment as well. So maybe it's bridging that gaps from just being like friendly to being like, hey, maybe there's something more here. So watch for that. I think that two aces can definitely indicate a new beginning. I don't think you're being delusional. I really feel like, you know, this is about more, like you said, a connection outside of work. Maybe at work there is this sense of feeling like, okay, we work together and there's a spark there, but like we're going to maintain boundaries. We're going to kind of respect those boundaries. But once somebody opens the door and says like, send me photos or tell me what you're doing, or, you know, like that kind of stuff, I feel like it's going to become a little bit more personal, and it's going to allow you guys to really have a much more, you know, kind of honest and direct emotional kind of conversation about what is next. So I definitely expect all of the feels upon your return. I hope you have fun on your trip in Chicago. It's such a fun city to visit. We've got Anna, Alana, and David. You guys are all in the queue. All right, so let's see what Anna has to say. Oh, there we go. I'm Anna, wondering what's going to be happening with an on and off boyfriend of 3 years. He recently broke it off, no contact. He's a Sag sun, and I'm a Virgo rising Cancer sun. We work together. Ouch. Well, as a Virgo rising, I think about how, you know, there was an eclipse that was in your first house in this last month, and that's about like a big emotional clearing. And then like your chart ruler going retrograde in your relationship house with Saturn. So there's like confusion, miscommunication, back and forth, somebody being kind of ghosty, and then they just like vanish, right? That's very Pisces. So it makes sense with your transits. Not saying that he gets any, he gets any credit for it. But yeah, I mean, the no contact can very much be like the Mercury-Saturn connection that happened, the Venus-Saturn connection that's playing out over this next week. So let's take a look and let's see what we can tell you about what's going to happen with this long-term relationship that just ended abruptly. All right, so in this order, we have got the Six of Coins, the Nine of Swords, and the Ace of Coins. Some thoughts that I have on this is that even though right now, the Nine of Swords in the current position is very anxious, obviously lost sleep, tears, worrying about the future, not knowing what to do or how to handle the situation, I do feel like the two cards that are surrounding this is saying that what is on your side is your guys' length of your relationship, the amount of time that you guys have invested in it. I also feel like there's something still solid here. It doesn't really feel like it's completed or it's done to me. However, I think as a Virgo rising, the last 2 months have been very karmic. People coming and going out of your life is definitely a theme. And sometimes there's confusion and people not knowing what they want when you experience those retrogrades. Down the road, right? So in the fall of this year, you're going to see another eclipse that's going to be kind of taking place in your 7th house. Much better aspects to Jupiter. You guys might be on the same page if you reconnect. Also, you're going to have another retrograde next spring that's going to be in your 7th house. So there's definitely a lot more relationship stuff to get worked out. And I feel like with Venus conjunct Saturn, with Mercury conjunct Saturn, they feel lost. They don't know what they want. And it's interesting that the Six of Coins is coming up because this is a card that's about balance. It's about give and take. So it can be saying that there has been some reassessment of the relationship and going, okay, what am I putting into it? What am I getting out of it? What am I getting out of this relationship, you personally? This is a reflection period that both parties need to be at their best. They need to be 100% in order to show up within the relationship. So there can also be the sense of him going, I don't feel like I have it in me, or I don't feel like I have the time, or I don't feel like I have the capability, or I'm not 100%, or I'm not feeling a whole, I guess 100% emotionally, or able to give you the time and the commitment that you need, and being in the process of weighing those options. I still think he's there. I think that's kind of cruel to go from being, together for 3 years to just ending it and going no contact. But you know what? Some people have to do that. I think that the card indicates that he's still thinking it through and that he hasn't quite made a decision yet. And he's still reassessing and kind of going, okay, here are the pros, here are the cons of the relationship. And he's still undecided. So in my mind, he has not totally committed himself to walking away. And I don't think you have either, because that does talk about both parties looking at things. But the question is what led up to that? What was out of whack? What was out of balance? Where were you guys not on the same page, not seeing eye to eye? What is he going through that maybe he hasn't been able to really adequately communicate with you? And, that Nine of Swords is super anxious. To do that to a Virgo rising, to not communicate with them is killer. Because you pride yourself on communication. It's a really big, important topic if you're ruled by Mercury. And obviously you've got somebody sitting up in bed. This is a card of nightmares and worst case scenario and fears and oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? What am I not seeing? What could I have done? What should I have done? And I would say you can't stay in this. Obviously, there's a process to going through a breakup. We grieve, we go through all the motions, but right now there is this sense of you driving yourself crazy and kind of feeling what, he's leaving me at a loss. What am I supposed to do? And feeling this is the end of the world. She says he doesn't communicate. He hates to be vulnerable, likes to deal with things on his own. Okay. So, that sounds to me like that's a relationship that's not in balance. Obviously, everybody processes things their own way, but part of being in a relationship, and I think that this has been a huge theme with the Mercury-Venus retrograde together in the same sign, is you can't go through certain battles alone. And if you're not communicating well what you're dealing with and what you've got going on, you literally can block yourself off from love, right? And by not opening up or not sharing with people, what you're struggling with, you're actually avoiding any opportunity for deepening of the romantic relationship. So he could be kind of running away in that sense. There's no cards coming up saying, oh, there's other people, right? Or that he's even weighing his options with other people, because there's no cups coming up. But I do feel like for you right now, I would not waste a lot of sleep over this, okay, personally, because I feel like within a month, you're gonna have more clarity. I do feel like the Ace of Coins is a positive card, even though it's not like the Ace of Cups or it's not like the Six of Cups, which might be talking about actual, reconnection and, being able to kind of smooth it over. The Ace of Pentacles is saying there is a new opportunity coming for you. And in the realm of your question, what's going to happen with us? There is room for renewal. There is an opportunity for you guys to start again. This is planting a new seed, which means you have to start over. So whatever he's going through right now. And if he's not communicating and telling you what's up, I would say, don't wreck your, life over it. Don't lose sleep over it. Take care of yourself, like really rest up and give this some time. Because I do feel like the Ace of Pentacles is saying within about a month, right? Or within like the earthly month. We're coming into Taurus season, right? So that could be obviously Ace of Coins. And then we've got Virgo season, which will be at the end of summer. This will give you more clarity as to whether or not you feel grounded and feel solid in this relationship. If you've got somebody going through something and they just bail and then they come back around, you're going to be like, okay, well, how do I know you're not going to do that again? Like, and you're going through something, which I understand, but like you also kind of uprooted me in the process. And so there is this need to restructure things. There is this need for you guys to sit down, maybe have a heart-to-heart and talk about like what's going on. Obviously, pentacles can be things relating to work, money, right? Finances, job, physical health. And this is a card of health and, something sprouting. So over the next month, I feel like you'll have the opportunity to talk about this, get a little bit more solid in understanding what's been going on with him, but also there is going to be a need to be like, look, we have to find a way to kind of handle things better. We know I want to feel solid and secure in a relationship. And if you're going through things and not telling me and then leaving, we don't have that foundation. So you guys are going to have to hit restart and literally kind of start again from the beginning. So a lot of this might be undoing old patterns. And I think he has some anxiety or some stress revolving around like feeling like he leans on you, or that, he would be asking too much of you, or he would be kind of putting you on hold because of things that he's got going on. And this can be stuff that's going on in his mind that he's just not communicating very well with you, right? Give it a month, see what happens. But I feel like you guys have way too much time and also investment in this relationship that I don't think it's just going to go by the wayside. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, we have got Alana, David, and Juliana. Let's see. What's up, Alana? You're welcome. All right, so Alana says, I'd love to know what's in store for my love life. I'm feeling more settled in Denver and my new job. It feels close, like there is someone on the horizon, but I've been waiting for my person for so long and I'm trying not to be impatient. What's up, Janie? All right, well, let's take a look what we can tell Alana about her potential impending relationship. She moved to Denver. She's got a new job. She's got a new place. And we want to see what's going on for the future of her love life. All right, so tell me about Alana's love life sitch. What do we, there was an extra card that popped up in there. What do we need to know? All right, so these are the cards that I get. The Nine of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. And this jumped, so I will read this. All right, so obviously this is a story that ends pretty well given the last two cards. But the Nine of Wands feels like you've been through it, like you've been in the trenches, like relationship wise, right? We see like a guy standing around, he's like battered and bruised, he's barely standing up, and he's just looking around like, how did I get through that? Like that was a lot. Maybe it's talking about what's happened over like the last like several weeks, the move, and I think feeling like you did it all by yourself. And also, some of the bumps and bruises that have kind of come up in recent weeks, and realizations that maybe you're in a relationship, you were connected with somebody, but they still made you feel like you had to do it alone, or they left you kind of high and dry, or they left you kind of feeling like, wait, this wasn't the way things were supposed to go. It wasn't supposed to go like this. And how did I end up in this place and like doing my own thing? And now I'm by myself and I'm tending to my own wounds. So that's where you've been. You're moving away from that. Nines are also about what we learn in the process, right? So when I think about nines, it's like, yeah, maybe you've gone through some trying times, but you've also realized maybe all of this change has been for good. And I don't feel like the move or the change with the job or anything like that is going to be in vain. I feel like it's going to end up being really positive for you. What you're shifting into is another 9. So we have the 9 of Cups, which does talk about, wish fulfillment. So if you're like, I want a relationship, you're going to get a relationship. That's the green light card. But this is also about focusing on what you want, not where you've been. Notice he's looking back. So he's looking back like who I've dated, who I've been with, what's gone on in the past, how people have hurt me, what didn't work out. Like he's looking back there. We're moving forward. The 9 of Cups is really kind of talking about sitting and really thinking about emotionally, how does it feel when you meet that person? So if you're saying like, you kind of feel like someone's on the horizon, you feel like somebody's going to be entering your life soon or they're going to show up, lean into that feeling. Meditate on how it feels when you connect with somebody who is a good vibrational match. Focus on the qualities and the things that you're actually trying to kind of attract, because how you act is what you attract. So you want to embody some of those traits of that particular partner. I also feel like the 9 of Cups can be a card that's like, you go out and you go to a place where people are having fun. You go to a concert, you go to a venue, right? You go to a bar, like you go somewhere where people are drinking and being merry. This is like a tavern card back in the day. So it would be like, well, you end up going to a tavern, you have a couple drinks, you have a good time, you're gambling, and then all of a sudden you win the pot, right? So I want you to focus on that, really kind of meditate on that feeling of what it feels like to hit the relationship lottery, because that's going to help bring it in. Final card is the Ace of Wands. So obviously this card is going to make an appearance tonight. Ace of Wands is quick, swift movement, action, fire signs. Okay, so this can be about Aries, Leos, or Sagittariuses. This can also be saying literally things are changing as we speak. It looks like there's probably going to be some kind of like relationship that's taking place this summer. This is the card that deals with summertime. This is also the card that deals with new initiations, sparks, excitement, lots of chemistry, lots of like sexual connection, having fun. So it might be something that you're not thinking it's going to be a relationship. It's just somebody that comes out of the blue and it's just like a sudden connection. There's sparks, and maybe it starts as something that's very casual. It starts as something that's more physical. Maybe it's kind of like, well, you know what? I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to kind of throw myself into this because I really feel drawn to this person. And there's opportunities for travel and creativity and having fun together and excitement, adventure, right? This is the card that jumped out, the 10 of Cups. So it is saying that there is going to be something worth celebrating, that there is going to be major relationship fulfillment that's taking place. I can't exactly remember your ascendant. For some reason, I feel like it was like the late degrees of Virgo. And if that's the case, that Saturn, Neptune kind of hanging around your descendant right now, getting ready to change signs is going to definitely be interesting, because Saturn and Neptune and Aries in your 7th house is going to be like, boom, somebody brand new shows up. And they might be active and athletic and somebody who's also like a little feisty and a little combative. But I feel like the 10 of Cups jumping out in your spread is basically saying like everything's going to end up being okay. You're going to have your happily ever after. There is a relationship coming in, but focus on where you're going, not where you've been. Okay? 29 degrees of Virgo. I thought so. All those retrogrades in your 7th house has been kind of finishing up one phase of relationships as you're preparing for a new one. So be really excited to see what's kind of happening for you over the next couple of months. Get out there and mingle, especially with all those cups coming up. Hope you like Denver. All right, we've got David and Juliana who are next. And if you guys are, if there's any level 3 members who want to cash in, let me know. Otherwise, you guys can get a reading, scan the QR code. And make sure you leave your question in the memo box for me so I can answer that for you. All right, so let's see what David has to say. David says, hey Candace, wondering if I could have a 1-card draw for a business trip I'm taking next week. Many thanks. All right, David, well, let's take a look. I'm just gonna tell you, okay, I don't know if you watched my astro weather, but honestly, holy cow, literally, Sun in Taurus for Pluto. The astrology for next week is quite intense. So I don't know your chart. If you have like early degree fixed signs, it's going to be real. There's some very intense things happening this next week. But let's see what we can tell David about his trip. Oh, how lovely. David, you get the Chariot card, which is the trip card. Okay, it is the trip card. But I think that this coming up is interesting because the Chariot, it can be about using your gut and your intuition when you're going places. So maybe it was like you going, I don't know, I just really have a good feeling about this business trip. I feel like I'm supposed to go there. There's someone I'm going to meet. There's some kind of purpose. There's going to be some kind of chance connection or meeting or some synchronicity that's just going to set up. Listen to your gut, basically. However, the Chariot can also feel chaotic because when we look at this card, there's two Sphinx. They're two different colors. This sometimes is shown by two different horses that are going in two different directions. And like you kind of have to get, you got to get your horses in order, right? So if things are feeling a little jumbled, if things are feeling a little chaotic, take a step back, reevaluate, reassess. I do think you're going to go. I do think it's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it, but I feel like if you're traveling there and you have a gut feeling like, oh, my flight's going to be delayed, listen to that. If you feel like, you know what, I have a feeling there could be something that could be kind of off about this meeting, let me double check, call them, listen to your gut. But I like this because the guy who's driving the Chariot, this does represent like getting to where you want to go. And it can also talk about future connections, right? Emotional connections. So it can mean that there's connections that you make with people there that, you guys are going to be on the same page. You're seeing eye to eye. You have a good meeting. You guys have a good plan. And they're like, you know what? We want to keep working with you. Maybe you're going to come back here. Maybe your gut's telling you, I don't feel like this is the end of this particular business dynamic. I feel like this is going to be a growing connection. This is going to be a good relationship or some kind of good opportunity for me in the future to come back here. Sometimes this card is also associated with Cancer. So it can mean like there is some future potential where you would be like, wow, am I going to be coming back here and like moving here? Am I going to be doing a couple overnights here? Like, is this going to be a new territory or is this going to be like a new city that I'm going to have to be in more frequently? Does it feel like home? Does it feel familiar? Have you been there before? Because sometimes this card comes up when you're going back to your old stomping grounds and you're kind of like, oh, I feel like I'm at home. I'm at home here. Everything's good. And everything is just kind of like lining up based off of how your gut is telling you things are going to go. Sometimes the Chariot does talk about like rental cars, vehicles, transportation. So that's something that you're going to want to pay attention to, pay attention to when you're driving or if you're getting in and out of Ubers, just make sure that, you know your directions, where you're going if you're having to drive yourself. And at the end of the day, the Chariot coming up is definitely about an adventure. So it's about kind of enjoying the process of being where you are on this trip. Okay. But I love that for a business trip. I feel like this is also about like feeling very confident. So if you're going and you're meeting with people and you're giving, presentations, or if you're having to kind of develop new business relationships, a lot of confidence comes from this card. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Enjoy your trip. Where are you going? What's up, Will? What's up, Robbie? I am giving a presentation. I love that. So that's good then. Chicago. Is everybody going to Chicago? What the heck's going on in Chicago? I guess it's a major city, right? All right. We've got Juliana and then Sasha. Let's take a look and see your questions. Sorry, PayPal's being a little fickle this evening. All right, Juliana says tarot reading. Juliana, do you have a particular question for me? Let me know. Let's see what Sasha says. Rachel, Lewis, and if you guys are still popping in, there's about 4 people in the queue. So if you guys want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code and we'll get your reading on the way. But does Juliana have a particular question for me? Otherwise, I can give you a general reading. I'll wait to hear from her. I'll take Sasha. So Sasha, if you're listening, I'm going to do your reading while I'm waiting to hear from Juliana. So Sasha says, I'm feeling stuck in life at the moment, like I'm shedding an old version of me, but a new one wants to emerge. I'm curious what the cards want me to know or look out for. Pisces Sun and Pisces Rising. Yeah, sounds about right. Feels like probably the last 2 months you've been like stuck in a fishbowl, right? Pun intended. a lot of that's been the retrogrades in your first house. So having, you know, your 7th house ruler Mercury retrograde in the first, you're like, who am I and what's changing with relationships? You had a solar eclipse that took place in Aries, which is about kind of redefining your goals, your self-esteem, money stuff. And you also had a Venus retrograde. So there's been a lot of like really needing to get in touch with your inner emotions and inner feelings to figure out who you are, where you're going, and also lots of connections to home because some of that stuff has kind of been in a square to Jupiter, your chart ruler in the 4th. So let's see what we can tell Sasha about her kind of going through this period where she's shedding old skin and she feels like there's a new version of her that is emerging. Interesting cards. You get the 2 of Wands, which kind of talks about, you know, standing at like the doorway of change and being like, okay, I know that I have to take this necessary first step, but before you do that, you're reassessing where it is that you want to go. I think this is a card of opportunity, to be honest with you. It can mean that you're weighing your options because 2s always represent this or that, but this is about also like maybe going on a trip, you know, finding yourself doing something where you're getting away for a few days, and like through the process of travel, there is like this epiphany or this like realization that you have. Okay, you don't have to do anything crazy, but this can be really beneficial, especially because he's standing and he's holding the globe. So it means that, you know, he's reassessing, okay, where is it that I'm supposed to go? Where am I going to have the most fun, the most success, the most adventure? And also it's about planning things out. And I have found that a lot of Pisces and Pisces risings have been feeling very scattered. Like there's this sense of being like, I don't know which end is up. I've got mixed emotions. Things are all over the place. This is a card of taking one step at a time. So really it's about not really focusing too much on the end goal, which sounds weird. It's just the first couple steps that you take forward. Knowing what I know about your astrology, you know, the fact that South Node stuff's going through your 7th, there's changes with relationships. You can meet karmic people, but also there's some people that are kind of fading away. This is now more on you. And you have Jupiter that's going to be going through your 4th house. So that means that you might be reassessing. Is it time for me to go back home and visit family? Do I need to be relocating? Maybe I need to be in a new space. Maybe I need to move, you know, things around or switch things up. Maybe I just need to go away for a little bit and come back in like a clearer headspace. But this card is a card of options and opportunities. So really it's saying the world is your oyster. You can really make it whatever you want. Whatever changes you're hoping to kind of achieve, you can make them happen now. But I think the transits into your 2nd house, like Saturn and Neptune, is about believing in yourself. Yes, I can change. And really what's interesting is when the North Node goes to the 1st house, where it is right now in Pisces, there is this super hyper focus on the self, whether that's your identity, your style, you know, how you're carrying yourself. And hitting the sun can also be a pivotal time where, because the sun is connected to your 6th house, it's like, I need to have a schedule and a routine. So I feel like maybe the first thing here is being like, okay, the goal is that I get on a schedule or I kind of get things in order. So I feel like I have some consistency and I have something that's going to be giving me some stability. And the more that I'm doing that, I'm going to feel like I have a little bit more comfort in exploring some of these new things that I want to be doing, how I want to look, how I'm making money. Rebuilding self-esteem is a huge theme. Whether or not you're contemplating or considering, you know, having some changes in your home life, the door is open right now. So you have every opportunity imaginable that's being kind of presented to you. And also I think whether you do it while Jupiter's in your 4th house or you wait until Uranus goes there this summer, there is going to be a lot of getting out of your home more. And the more that you go out and you travel a little bit or you experience the world and you get some perspective, you're going to come back and you're going to realize, actually, you know what, there's a lot of things that I want to change. So keep that door open, be flexible, and be optimistic about like what's kind of coming up, because you have a lot of freedom right now, right? North Node in your 1st house, Saturn in your 1st house. You have a lot of freedom. It's all on you. Life is going to be what you make of it, really, for the better part of the next year. Hopefully that's helpful in giving you some insight. What an exciting card to kind of have where, you know, everything is yet to be defined. All right, so still waiting for Juliana. I haven't seen her, so I'm going to give her a general reading. And we still have Rachel and Lewis. All right, so we'll do Juliana's reading, and then Rachel, you are on deck. Davers is here. All right, so this is the reading for Juliana. I'm doing a general 3-card spread for you. Just want to make sure I didn't miss your question up here above. Am I seeing it? I'm not seeing it. Okay. All right, so this is going to be your reading. Look at all these bright, fancy cards. I love that. So you got 2 majors coming up, all right? I love that there seems to be something really significant on the horizon. Like there's some celebration, and this could be personal, but this could also be something that's kind of connected to the family. Strength card talks about overcoming obstacles, realizing your strength. This is also about feeling like you're not trying to control a situation. It can be about romantic partners. It can be about children. It can also be giving you the timing of something around July and August, okay? Strength usually comes up when you've been wrestling with a situation. Do I do this? Do I not do this? You know, do I, push this to happen? Do I wait for, everything to kind of come together in its own terms? And what I love about the Strength card is that it's not about forcing things to unfold. It's just about kind of having the frame of mind that's like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm hoping it's going to be for the best. I'm not going to, continue to wrestle with this. I'm going to kind of find that inner strength and know that everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. This is also a card that is about, things kind of coming around. Obviously, you see the infinity sign above her head. So it does have that kind of connection also to like temperance. That's like saying it's a timing matter. You're waiting for something timing-wise to come around. And rather than feeling like you have to force yourself to make a decision or, take some kind of action, you're like, I'm going to give this until, July, August to see how it plays out. Sometimes this is a card that's also saying that you're dealing with something that you have been trying to, what's the word? Obviously she's got the lion, so she's like trying to get the lion to submit. And you're like feeling with some kind of situation in your life that you don't want to give up on it. You don't want to walk away. And you're hoping that if you continue to stay optimistic and you kind of stay arms wide open, that it will come around, whether that's a person, if it's a job, if it's an opportunity. And the Empress card coming up can be talking about women in your life. It can be talking about you as a woman and, really kind of sitting in this position of knowing, okay, I know that I am worthy of this. I know that good things are coming my way. It can be about luxury. It can also be about new cycles that are emerging for you, right? Sometimes this card comes up for women when they're pregnant. Sometimes this card comes up for women when they're about to launch a business, or where there is a wise woman, like a grandmother, a sister, a mother figure, a mentor that comes into their life and like helps guide them. The Empress card is about luxury. It's about having all of the nice things. So it can be an indication that there's something really positive coming your way. It can be wealth related, but it can also be just a really positive time in your life where you're feeling like, you know what? I want to kind of indulge a little bit more. I want to enjoy the spoils of all of my hard work, and that this summer is going to be about that. This is going to be a summer where you're allowing yourself to actually enjoy your free time a little bit more. That might also be, some kind of generosity that's coming through a female figure that's wanting to spend time with you or wanting to give you something. That mixed with the Four of Wands, literally this can mean you go to a wedding or you go to a party or a celebration and you end up meeting a very prominent person. And this could be a female who's going to be an important relationship to you. It can also mean that there is a shift that's going on also for a woman in your life. It could be a friend, a family member. And, it could be that there is an engagement party, there is a wedding, that there is a announcement of a baby. This is the wedding card. This is the baby card. This is a card that deals with children. So it can be kind of saying that if it's not you, you're going through something that is going to be about a rebirth period. It can be a creative rebirth. It can be a rebirth that's connected to your love life. And suddenly there's more passion, there's more fun, there's more excitement, more opportunities to socialize. I will tell you something, okay? Whatever is going on this summer, you get invitations, you go. If it's a birthday party, if it's something out of state, if it's, people that you hardly know, if it's a friend of a friend, go, because the connections that you're going to make and the memories I think that you're going to make with some of these cards coming up are going to be unforgettable. I also feel like the Four of Wands is saying that this is like a temporary space where you're going to be celebrating some kind of achievement, some kind of milestone. So it can mean I got a raise, right? Or, you know, I was able to kind of hit my projections and I'm celebrating that, you know, now I am finding more success in my business. Or, you know, there is some major event as a mom, if you're a mother, that you're celebrating for some of your children, and there's a lot of pride and things that are going to be connected to that. So specifically July, August, really the next 4 months, but you're going to really see this July and August when it's going to hit. And I'm excited to see what like this major announcement and celebration is going to be. If it's going to be you personally or somebody who you're really close to that you're going to be celebrating with. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Juliana. We have got Rachel and then Lewis. And Nicole, you guys are all in the queue and the readings are still open if you guys want to get a reading. All right, so let's see what Rachel has to say. Rachel. Hello. One card question. How will my job situation improve for me? I'm still in the middle looking for new jobs and I really hope it finally happens for me. It's been some time, but I'm trying to stay positive as much as I can. I want to make the most of my current job as well, but I'm hoping something bigger to change so I can feel like I'm really moving forward and up in life. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what we can tell Rachel about what's going on with her job search. She's been looking for a while. She's keeping up the momentum and the positivity, and she wants something that can help her kind of grow, right? 'Tis the season. We're coming into Taurus season, so everybody's getting ready to plant all of their intentions for growth and more, even in spite of some of the pressure. All right, so let's take a look. What can we tell Rachel about her job search? I like this card for you. The Hierophant, which is the card that deals with Taurus, you know. I definitely kind of feel like, you know, looking at the Hierophant card, it does indicate that structure, law, order, you know, long-term plans, commitment are all a part of this. I think you're approaching looking for a job where you're like, I'm not just looking for something that I'm going to be, you know, kind of, you know, making like a lateral move, right? You're like, I want to go up. I don't want to stay in the same position. I don't want to settle. I don't want to go and work for a company that I'm going to do the same old thing. And you're doing this in a very smart way because you're holding out for something that's going to have more long-term value and opportunity for growth. This is the month of May, so you might find that while we're in Taurus season, there can definitely be some kind of a significant shift or something that's going on revolving around your commitment. Sometimes this can be a card that's about a contract being issued, a serious interview, a meeting with people high up. This can also mean that you are getting some kind of guidance. Obviously, the Hierophant is kind of seen as like the Pope or somebody who's going back and forth between God and the church, but with the tarot, this could mean that it could be a mentor, it could be a counselor, it could be also somebody who is involved in hiring, so somebody who is like a headhunter or somebody who's doing job placement, who you end up talking to and like doing an interview and you kind of let them know, look, this is what I specialize in, this is my background, this is my history, this is what I'm looking for, this is my salary requirements, and then that person's going to be able to go back and forth with you and be like, okay, let me go and see if I can find some serious people who I can match you up with. I will get back to you. I really recommend reaching out to a recruiter because I feel like this is going to help. I also feel like this can indicate that there is the potential for getting into a job where you're going to have to do some kind of training. This card does deal with like getting to the superior level, right? Usually this is like working with doctors or lawyers or, you know, people who are going to be like heads of society in terms of like business. So you might go and work for a larger company. You might go in and end up having a conversation and kind of talking to somebody about, you know, hey, are you open to doing some kind of training? What is your kind of education background? You know, do you want to do continuing education? Like there may be these conversations. So if you end up going and interviewing for a company that might be asking or requiring either more education or more experience, I would still say apply because I do feel like your experience is going to trump that. They may be willing to kind of talk to you and say, hey, you know what, for some people who end up working for us, you know, we do some training, you know, maybe we send them some seminars, maybe we do continuing education of like a higher level, right? So that's what you want to look for. But I definitely want you kind of contacting or getting in touch with somebody who's going to be doing job placement or somebody who's going to be doing recruiting. Because I feel like you having that one-on-one conversation with somebody who's in the know and you can tell them what you're looking for and what your background is, they're going to assist you and help you with this process of finding something that's going to be that top tier job that you're looking for. Look for some kind of opportunity that might be popping up here for you in the month of May, okay? What's up, Juliana? I did the reading for you. Yours was like the last reading. We just did it. All right, so we've got Lewis and Nicole. Let's take a look. And Crystal popped in there. All right, so Lewis says, hey Candace, I'm a Pisces sun, 29-degree Gemini rising, Virgo moon. My boyfriend has been stressed and tired at work. We talk about this and we don't know what to do. We want to spend more time with each other, but work gets in the way. Intimacy is also getting affected. He tries but can't get it up sometimes. I know it's part of life, but we're doing the best we can. Would things improve? Advice, please. Thank you. My natal Venus is also in Pisces and my Mercury is in Aries. It has been rough. All right, let me go back to the beginning of your message. So you got Virgo rising at 29 degrees, okay? And your sun is in Pisces. So your sun is somewhere near the top part of your chart. You've got Jupiter that's on your ascendant. You want more time with your partner. You're stressed out because of the Virgo moon and all that stuff. So to me, it sounds like the Mercury retrograde, the Venus retrograde, you know, going through your 10th is work stress for you, but it's also like emotional stuff for your partner. Oh, weird. Sorry about that. So, all right, so this is for Rosary. Okay, Gemini rising, got it. Gemini rising, Pisces sun. So let's take a look. Let's see what's kind of going on here, because your relationships is very much going to be connected to what's going on with Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter's on your ascendant. So there is this sense of you wanting to be close to partners, but obviously the squares going on with the retrogrades have been a little tough. So let's see what I can tell you about the work stress with the boyfriend, the intimacy stuff, all that stuff. Let's take a look. Juliana, I see your questions, but it seems like you're probably behind. So I'm doing readings while you're already hearing my comments from me. So I've already done your reading. So if you go back, probably when it's not live, you'll be able to see your reading. Can we let her know that in the chat? All right. All right. So this is going to be for you, Rosary. All right, so in this order, 3 of coins, 6 of coins, 9 of swords. All right, so here's the deal, right? Your cards are literally word for word just saying what you told me. All right, so in these situations, you know, sometimes I like to pull 3 more cards. So 3 of coins is we're both working, we're trying to figure out a way to make it work. 6 of coins is we're trying to find the balance. 9 of swords is basically saying like there's been a lot of stress. We're not seeing like an outcome. We're not seeing anything changing. And also like the emotional distress that you're kind of going through, feeling like you're in a lurch and that you don't know what to do. So 10 of swords is that overwhelming, picking up from the 9 of swords, which is saying like you feel like you're at a loss. 9 of wands coming up, which is basically saying like something's going to have to give. Like, you know, I get where you're coming from when you're saying to him, like, we've all got stuff going on. We're all stressed, but like this can't be something that's continuing to happen. It's not even so much about the relationship per se, although it's impacting you. It's like, how is this impacting his health? Because whether it's physically or mentally or sexually, all of those things are intertwined. And I feel like it's going to get to a point where, you know, he's going to look at things and he's going to go, not only is it impacting my relationship, but it's impacting my mental health, but it's impacting my like sense of like well-being. Something's got to give. You know, 10 of Swords means that you may feel a little disappointed because you feel like nothing is changing and that it's going to be the continuation of the same cycle and that it's going to leave you kind of high and dry and emotionally feeling like he's not doing what he needs to do to make you feel emotionally supported, right? Then we've got the 9 of Wands, which means that you're willing to hang in there for a little bit longer, like in your mind. You know, maybe you look at this and you go, look, this is just a temporary spot. Things will improve. We're going to get through this. And you have a positive mindset about it, but I really feel like in the midst of this, you are still kind of getting the brunt of it. So there is kind of a need to kind of let him know it's not even so much about how this is impacting our relationship, which I care about, but like, look at what it's doing to you. And you've got me over here worrying about you, questioning or wondering whether or not things are going to actually get better. And like, I'm, you know, kind of feeling like I'm at a loss because there's nothing more that I can do to kind of support you. 2 of Wands does make me feel optimistic that you guys will get through this. It does look like that likely something is going to have to change, like something is going to have to end. And it's not really indicating the relationship. I kind of feel like, you know, maybe it's a matter of looking at the job being like, is it really worth this kind of stress? Should I be looking for something else? You know, should one of us be changing our schedules because something's going to have to come to an end? And in the long term, you know, that 9 of Wands talks about like, what he will endure and what kind of like emotional or like health damage he might have in the long term because he stays too long, right? 2 of Wands is about those open doors, kind of seeing what else is out there, like encouraging him to be like looking into or learning about better managing his stress and his emotions. This can also mean like he's seeing if the grass is greener, looking at other jobs, other opportunities, different schedules, and really kind of looking into like making a change. Because staying here doing the same thing, nothing is going to get better. It's going to get worse. If you guys continue to go through this and it's just like, well, we'll just deal with it for right now. No, it's going to get to a point where either somebody's going to say I'm walking away from the relationship or somebody's going to have to like make a change with their job. It's going to be one or the other. And I know, you know, with some of your transits, you know, Saturn and Neptune are sitting on your sun right now. So for you, you're like, I've got my own shit going on, you know, with work and like all of these things. Like I can't take this on either. You're going to feel more responsibility on your own, you know, and whether it's with your professional relationships or just you feel more responsibility in general, taking care of him, you're going to feel that. Relationships will improve, but you're going to want to watch for like June, because in June there's going to be like a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction at 29 degrees. So it can represent where you're making a decision. I do feel like you're kind of saying, I'm going to give this a couple more months and I'm going to support him, but do not be surprised if it comes to like a point where one of the two things is going to have to give, because I feel like this is about you encouraging him to kind of look for something else and also prioritizing his health in the process. But I'm not seeing an ending of the relationship per se. Hopefully that's helpful. That's a difficult one. I'm sorry to hear that. All right, we've got Nicole and we've got Crystal. And Deanna and Amanda. All right, Nicole says 3-card reading for, oh, sorry. You got to put that right in the beginning. 3-card reading for Janie Doe. So you are May 18th, 64. All right, so how is my relocation going to go? I'm closing on May 22nd, loading and unloading at the end of May. Well, you picked a good time to be doing it, because I'm telling you things are going to get better. Definitely May, June is when we're going to see things kind of lighten up a little bit. We're going to see a lot of people moving over the summer too. So Jupiter and Cancer things. Aries rising, Taurus sun, Leo moon. All right, cool. Like that. Good moves for Aries risings, moving to new homes, bigger, better places, or feeling like just something that feels more like home. So let's take a look and see what can we tell Janie about this move going on at the end of May. All right, so we have got the Queen of Cups, the Hierophant, and the Devil card. feel like this is about keeping the balance between things. Everybody gets spooked when you see the Devil card, but I'll just kind of wrap on this for a second. As an Aries rising, right, Saturn is going into your sign, and you are going to see this at the end of May. So Saturn represents your career, it represents your goals, your vision for the future, and also like responsibility. And that coming into your first house is going to represent this time where you're holding yourself to a higher standard. There is more, focus on your goals, your boundaries, your assertiveness, and also you're going to feel like, why am I have to do this all by myself? So I tell you that because I think that's what's kind of coming up with the Devil card. It can also represent that there's a bit of a challenge in kind of like juggling, okay, what work I have to do, what I physically feel capable of moving or not moving, versus what support or what help I'm getting from other people. I think you're excited about the move. I think the Queen of Cups can be talking about just emotionally being ready for it, really looking forward to getting into a new space, feeling like it's going to be good for you emotionally and energetically, that you're feeling very creative and kind of like in tune with getting into this new space. It can also mean that relationships can improve as well. So sometimes this represents water signs that come in that help you. Cancers, obviously Scorpios and Pisces can be a huge theme. I do feel like this is also you kind of saying, like, intuitively, I feel like this is a good time to do it. I can tell you, like I said, the astrology is going to be better at the end of May as well. But knowing that Saturn is going to be moving into your sign and Saturn is going to square Jupiter, it means that in order for you to get into the space that you want, you're taking on a lot of responsibility, okay? Stretch, take care of your knees if you're moving with Saturn on your ascendant. Watch out for bumps and bruises and things that you might be kind of banging into with your head. I just have to kind of put that out there because that can happen, especially with squares to Jupiter. You're moving things into the fridge. You're moving things into the kitchen. You're moving heavy, large bulk items with Jupiter. So just be mindful of stuff that, you can kind of bump your head on as you're kind of moving around. Anyway, Hierophant in the current position. So it is saying like you're going about this in a very structured way. You're like, okay, I have a plan. I have got a schedule. I've got timing. I'm calling on people to help me. I know exactly what days that I'm going to be moving things in. I'm labeling boxes. I'm getting everything in order. So it tells me that you have this under control. At this point in your life, you've probably moved just a few times. So you know how the drill goes. You always think that you're going to be moving and it's going to be something you can do in 2 days, and it ends up taking a month. So I think that you're approaching this very realistically, and also getting some assistance or some help or some guidance along the way. Maybe the Hierophant is about getting a reading and somebody kind of, saying to you, hey, this is what might potentially be happening. I'm reading your comments. So you're saying you're already doing it by yourself, but you're excited. And it's a good time to do this, but you're already beat up. So, okay, so some of that stuff kind of resonates with your astrology. The Devil card, the one thing that I would say is that it could literally mean like the devil is in the details, of whether it's like closing on the house, signing things, legal documents, all that stuff. Read all that stuff. Make sure you go through it. Obviously, Mercury's been retrograde in your rising sign, so you're having to kind of look a little bit more deeply into that. But the Devil card can also be saying that you're giving yourself a break. Like maybe you have been so overly focused on responsibilities or taking care of other people or work or other things that you're like, no, actually the devil represents me going, I'm actually breaking away from work. I'm breaking away from my usual kind of structure or routine. And like, I'm really prioritizing this and putting this on full blast because you really want to see this go all the way through, and you don't want anything to get stuck or limited or kind of delayed or entangled. And I really feel like with Saturn and Neptune, in your first house now as an Aries rising, it's if you're not getting adequate sleep, if you're not getting enough alone time, the first thing you're going to want to do when you get into that space is you're going to want to organize your bedroom, because obviously Saturn and Neptune are kind of connected to having at least one space in your house that you're like, okay, I feel like this is put together, So when you get moved in, set up your bedroom, get it somewhere to sleep, make sure you've got a place where you can kind of keep some clothes in order, make sure you got a peaceful Zen den, so that way you can kind of manage unpacking and kind of getting everything set up and also situated in this new space. And I feel like this is going to be a new fresh start for you moving forward, and that I think you're approaching the way that you're moving into your house with a sense of being like, I don't want too much stuff, right? Because being attached to things or holding on to things is like the Devil card. So it can mean that you're clearing out the current house that you're in and you're like, my goal is like moving into this space. I'm not bringing everything with me, or, you know, I don't need the memories, or I don't need as much stuff, or there are some things that I'm willing to kind of let go of because I want this freedom. It looks like you want to make the move and you want to make it swiftly. So you're not going to be so attached or tied to some of the things that you've had in the old house, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. It sounds like it's going to be a good move. She says, I have everything. I read my to-do list, but I need the reassurance. Bedroom is a #1 and kitchen 2. And my dog settled, and I have so much via Habitat Restore. There you go. Yep. So minimalism is going to be like your best friend. You're going to find that with like Saturn and Neptune moving into your first house, you're like, I just need the bare essentials, you know? So I think it can be really great, especially if you're moving into a new space. You don't need all of the things, and it gives you the opportunity to reimagine what that space could look like without bringing all of the stuff from the past. Good luck on your move. Watch out for those bumps and bruises. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Nicole. All right, we've got Crystal and Diana. Diana. And then we have Amanda. So if anybody else wants to get a reading, get in the queue before we call last call. All right, so here's what Crystal says. Howlin' Sass. What messages are coming up for me this year? It's been a wild ride so far. Well, isn't that crazy? We're only a third of the way through 2025, and it feels like it's been like 10 years. So what can I tell Sass about what messages are coming up for the rest of the year? Well, let's take a look. All right, so 1, 2, 3. So we have got the 10 of Wands, the Star card, and the King of Wands. Lots of fire in this. You know, I feel like the year, and I think my astrological mind is like the year is actually going to wrap up, I think, a lot better than how it started, personally. I think that pretty much March and April were some of the more difficult astrological periods this year. You're going to see some tension in September for sure. But I feel like with your cards, the 10 of Wands is saying, like, you're like Thomas the Train. You just keep on chugging along. You're like, I'm not going to get knocked down. Like, maybe you felt like you've gotten stalled, or there's been some challenges, or maybe there's been some upheaval. And a lot of this is about like finishing something up, right? Like the astrology of 2025 is a 9. This is about us completing things before we move on to the next chapter. We've got planets that are going to be in Pisces, completing things before we move on to the next chapter. We're going to see planets going in and out of Pisces all year. We're going to see also planets going in and out of like Gemini and Taurus as well. So this is the preview of like all the stuff we need to deal with now before we get to 2026. That's really what this year is about. So when I look at your 10 of Wands coming up, you know, you haven't been knocked down. Give yourself a pat on the back for that. Things maybe have felt a little challenging and that you've been kind of fighting an uphill battle. But honestly, I think you're managing like the best you can. I don't really feel like you're struggling. I feel like there's a lot of lessons that are being learned in some of the stuff that you've been encountering. And to me, this feels like it's like resistance training. It's like you keep pushing, and then you take a step back. But you're developing better endurance for like overcoming challenging situations, and it's getting you out of your comfort zone. The Star card, which is a great card. This is a card that deals with your friend group, your networks. This is also about your dreams, your goals. Star card is about healing. So you might be wanting to be paying attention to what's going on with the full moon in Aquarius. This card deals with Aquarius. That's going to be happening over the summer. It can also be saying, hey, look at what's going on in Aquarius in your chart. Pluto's there. Mars is opposing it. So that's going to show you where you're kind of fighting your toughest battles right now. But the Star card is about finding the opportunity to find your purpose, find your people, find your tribe. This is also about wishes and wish fulfillment and having breakthroughs and like realizing what it is that you truly want. Good friends are hard to come by, and I feel like maybe this period is kind of teaching you who's really in your corner and who is your biggest fan or, you know, your biggest support system. This can mean you're joining new groups and new communities as well, and it can also talk about just going through like this healing phase after some of the events that you have kind of already experienced this year. Watch for Aquariuses too. They can be coming in and they can be kind of helpful in helping you kind of adapt to some of these changes. We have the King of Wands, which obviously, you know, you're a woman, so this is a male card, so this can be about you embodying some of the traits of the King of Wands, which is bold, dynamic, creative, adventurous. It can also be about you being a little bit more risk-taking, right? Like the King of Wands, like, will do things just for the thrill, or it will do it just to see like what happens, like if something sticks or if they get a reaction, or maybe they'll just kind of do something on impulse. But it can also mean that there are Leos, Aries, Sagittariuses that are coming into your life. A really significant male friendship might actually be appearing this year, and you might meet somebody who you might have a lot in common with. Like both of you guys have gone through like similar kind of like trials in recent years. Both of you guys have maybe had to like move or relocate, or you have felt some kind of personal struggles, or maybe you've been dealing with some personal battles, and you guys are going to resonate and be on the same page in terms of what you've experienced. And it might actually be like a really great friendship or relationship that can kind of blossom from this, where you realize that you had to go through some of those lessons before you could either meet this person or before you can kind of be connected to them in some way, because they're kind of helping you get to like the next level, right? So watch for like a fire sign that's going to pop in for you personally, in terms of your career, you know, or if you're just feeling like taking risks or being a little bit more adventurous, do that. I feel like, you know, you don't get to go through the process of feeling like you're on top of the world and being the king unless you have had to kind of like fight some battles, or you've been going back and forth with people and you're being tested. So you're seeing actually that you're much stronger probably in the air and fire parts of your chart now with some of these cards coming up. Hopefully that's helpful. Watch out for that full moon. That's going to be pretty prominent in Aquarius with that card. All right, so we have got Crystal. Oh, no, that was Crystal. Sorry. We've got Diana and Amanda. I'm the one who has the crazy partner and the girlfriend who punched me. Oh, my God. Looks like there's a new business partnership that might be emerging then. All right, we're going to call last call. So if you guys want to get your readings in, let me know. I've got Diana and Amanda. All right, what's up, Diana? Diana here from Portland, Oregon. Dave, my childhood love. Okay, so you're September 11th, and Dave, your childhood love, who's May 14th, and I just bought a catamaran, and we're heading out to sail on sabbatical. What career will we have? I'm so nervous about what I will do after I sold my business. New beginnings, but scary too. Will I be financially successful? What an exciting journey you guys are embarking on. So let's take a look and see what this is looking like for you when it comes to your business stuff. Obviously, I love that you're a Virgo and you're like running away on a boat, and you have like Pisces 7th house. That's like so cute. Lots of adventure, obviously. And look, Uranus is going into your 10th house too. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to do spontaneous odd jobs or things online. Like you're gonna be busy. So let's see. So what can we tell her about this adventure? And is there financial stability in the mix here? Obviously, cards are jumping. All right, so we have got the 4 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, and the 9 of Cups. It's kind of like you going like, oh my God, I don't know if we're going to do it. Oh my God, we're doing it. Like, is this going to work out? And you're going to realize like, wow, okay, it panned out a lot better than I thought. One thing I would say is the whole point of like going on this sabbatical is like really taking a break. Okay, like really taking a break. And maybe it's your Virgo isms. You know, Virgos are always kind of perpetually mentally focusing on communication work, business, money stuff. But the South Node is going through your 2nd house right now. So it's going to be about this process, or it has been going through your 2nd house, sorry, of releasing and letting things go. Now it's in the 1st. So there is going to be this sense of like a new identity emerging, but also like you need rest. When you have eclipses in the South Node in your 1st house, you are exhausted. So being on a boat, traveling, winding down, celebrating that you sold your business, all good things. Like there will be opportunities for you to focus on, you know, getting back into the swing of working. But I think with Uranus in your 10th house, I think also with, you know, Jupiter going into your 11th, you're going to be more social. Really focus on giving yourself some downtime. 4 of Swords is about rest, recuperation, reflection, and like being in a position of not needing to make any moves yet, right? And maybe that makes you anxious. Maybe you're going, well, you know, can I trust this? Is this a good idea? You know, Seven of Swords does represent you going like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But the good news is you're going to sell your business either way, right? And if you're going away and you're going on a sabbatical for a little bit, you're going to be on a boat, you can always come back. You're going to have the fall to reassess your living situation if you're going to decide that you want to plant down roots at the end of the year. I feel like this is also about you being a little anxious and like not feeling like you're seeing the big picture. It can also mean that you're having issues with like trusting yourself. So there can be some like fears revolving around, okay, I'm going to sell the business. Like I have the money, but like, you know, am I going to manage it? Okay. Is everything going to be all right? Yeah. You know, part of Saturn and Neptune going into your 8th house is like really taking a good hard look at your financial situation and going, this is what I have. I'm going to be cautious. I'm not just going to be blowing it. And it's also about making your money work for you. So you might take some of that and go, I'm investing it. I'm going to go and get a high interest yield. Maybe you're going to decide that you're going to put a little bit of money, you know, into the market. Maybe you're going to decide that you're going to invest into starting a new like online business. Something like that can happen. But right now, while you're in the I'm not trusting myself phase, I think that you're kind of getting your wires mixed up, and there can be a sense of you like worrying too much and like wondering whether or not something is going to pan out, which is why I would say you need to rest. You need to rest the mind. See what happens when Uranus goes into Gemini. That's going to be happening for you I think it's going to be June going into July. So that's when you're going to see the sporadic change, and maybe there's a good idea and something pops up and you're like, I could do this, you know, part-time or flexibly, you know, online, whatever. Or you have a new idea for a new business. In the end, I think that the sabbatical will serve you well. I think that the 9 of Coins is saying that even though you're anxious because you're not used to having downtime, and you're also kind of questioning whether or not you're going to be able to manage things okay, and if you're going to be wasting your resources, wasting your time, if you can, you know, trust yourself in some of the changes you're making, being in this limbo state, being out of your comfort zone is so good for you. And it's going to end up really being beneficial, because at the end of the day, it's going to give you the time to really focus on, well, what do I want to do? I've had a business that maybe I was good at, maybe I loved at one point, but also like I realized I had kind of moved on and graduated. Your mind is going to change a lot with Uranus in the 10th house, and you need to leave that room for being like, I could do this or I can do that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Give it about 3 or 4, you know, months to kind of settle into not working and being present, doing things, socializing, meeting people. And what you're probably going to find is towards the end of the year, you're going to have a better idea of what it is that you're going to want to be doing more, whether that's, you know, for money or what you're doing with your money or where you're going to be living. And I think it's going to be a really good thing. I feel like you not having a plan is going to end up in the end being, you know, your biggest, I think, accomplishment, because 9 of Cups is about getting what you want. So if you're like, hey, am I going to be okay financially? 9 of Cups is like, yes, you're going to be fine. Things are going to work out. You're going to be very thrilled with what's going on. But all of this over here feels anxious to me. It's like, you know, I'm supposed to be resting, or I'm supposed to be getting ready to retire, but you're like, I just, in the back of my mind, I feel like, what if I didn't make the right decision? But what if you did, right? What if you did make the right decision? I think that I would be focusing on relationships and where you're going and what you're doing and what you're exploring. I would also be focusing on groups and networking and community, as Jupiter is going into your 11th house. And you're going to make friends with people who are going to be all over the place. So who knows, maybe you guys are traveling for a bit, but you end up, you know, sailing somewhere that you really like a community, or you really like a certain kind of coastal area. And then you guys decide, you know what, we've made friends there, we like it there, we'll move there. And then it's like, boom, okay, I can make a business here. So you haven't quite figured out where you're going to land yet. There's something that's going to be happening where you may actually be changing your residence later this year. So trying to kind of figure out what's going to happen with the business stuff, don't waste your time. Focus more on maybe talking to somebody who can give you some good insight as to what to do with the money, so that way you feel like it's working for you while you're on your sabbatical. Hope that's helpful. What an exciting adventure it sounds like you're going to be on. I hope you enjoy that. You and the skipper. All right, we've got Rosie and Amanda. So Rosie says, peace and light, career message for the next 30 days. You got it, Rosie. Let's take a look and let's see what we can tell her in terms of her career messages for the next month. so interesting that we've seen like this sword in the center a couple times. I feel like a lot of people right now feel like they're in like limbo. We've got Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Swords, and the 2 of Wands. I really kind of feel like for you, you know, the times are changing, man. Wheel of Fortune is saying like there is some change on the horizon, and it may feel to you like something's not feeling good. That's the vibe that I'm getting. It's like the tide has turned. Maybe I'm not really feeling this job anymore. Maybe something feels off. Maybe I feel like I've hit a dead end. Maybe there's some disappointment with how things have been going. And believe it or not, that's a part of the process. Like sometimes people don't realize if they're not meant to stay in a relationship, if they're not meant to stay in a job, or if they're not supposed to be in a certain place, a storm will get kicked up. And it seems bad while you're in the moment, but really it's like that storm is coming in and the Wheel of Fortune can spin and it can create like a tornado that just throws everything around. And it's intentional because it's trying to create something kind of chaotic so that way there is an ending or a completion so it can pull you into the next thing that you're supposed to be involved in. And then you'll look back and you'll go, it's a good thing that happened, because had I not gotten sick of the job or the relationship or whatever, I would have never left and I would never be where I am now. So there's something good happening here, right? She says, I've been in this work for 20 years. Current job does not like me, mutual. So whatever the storm is, whatever's going on, it's kind of meant to be happening. I do feel like the Wheel of Fortune is saying you have been put there for a reason. There is a purpose that you landed that job or why you have been there, whatever has been kind of going on. But, you know, it can mean that it's about looking at the situation and not feeling defeated, because you can feel defeated when you get the 10 of Swords. There could be the sense of being like, oh, I'm crushed, you know, like, you know, I don't know what's going on. I've always been in this. Is it me? Like, what's happening? And you could take it personally, but quite frankly, I feel like whatever is going on in that dynamic, in that position or in that office space is happening because you're kind of being pushed out. Okay. And you have to be careful with the 10 of Swords, because you can also feel like there are some people who you are dealing with who you feel like are little cutthroat. Literally, this is the card of being stabbed in the back. So you can feel like, you know, maybe in other positions you've been in the past, you were close to the people you worked with, you vibed with them, you like the schedule, you like the dynamic. In this one, you're like, no. And it's showing me exactly who I can and cannot trust, right? She said, yeah, crushed internally, spiritually, mentally. So, you know, the good news is that this is about trying to get you out of a cycle. This is about completing the cycle. This is about moving on. So I do feel like the 10 of Swords is about not being in denial about the state of the position. Like if you're not happy there, you're not comfortable, you don't feel like you have support, you feel like you're in a toxic environment, you feel like also that you're in a situation where you're like, there's literally nothing I can do. I can keep showing up and doing my job and doing the best that I can, but if I'm feeling like I'm just being hammered every time I come into work, it's about really acknowledging, you know what, maybe my expertise could be better utilized in a different department. Maybe I should be seeing what else is out there. Maybe I should be inquiring if there's other positions that are open. It's about looking. Here we have the 2 of Wands. Again, doors are opening. We've had a lot of 9 of Swords and 10 of Swords coming up. We've had a lot of 2 of Wands, which is basically saying, look, you're going through the crisis. You're going through the washing machine right now of all the emotions, and you see that there is a door that opens. And you're like, oh, there's some light over there. What is that? You know, and that could mean that you hear that there's an opening for another department. That could mean that you're looking for another job and you see an opportunity that looks very sparkly and a potential good opportunity for you. It could also mean that, you know, you're in a situation where you're contemplating and considering how you can branch out, because 2 of Wands is not limiting to, I just do this job. Maybe you work within a specific industry, but maybe you're opening and broadening your horizons a little bit and you're like, I bet if I go out there and I look, I could find some other things that are going to be around about the same, but something that I could really love a little bit more. I think that, you know, she says, I'm trying to scale up and I'm agitated. I don't see that here. That's the thing, is I'm not seeing that. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I kind of feel like it's showing you that if you want to continue to go up in this particular company or within this particular dynamic, like, it's not happening. Like, it's not being set up that way. Like, they aren't creating the road for people to actually thrive and continue to move up in positions. It's not happening. And I don't know if it's because there's stuff going on at the top, or maybe you're not supposed to be there. There's something happening here, because the Wheel of Fortune is like, you're going to keep hitting a wall over and over and over again until you realize that this is not your place. This is not where you're supposed to be. This is not where you're going to end up. And the Two of Wands wants you to say, okay, I'm going to see if there's other opportunities. It wants you to actually go looking. And it should be something that you're going to be doing for the better part of the next 2 months. I do feel like so much of what the transits have been doing right now with, you know, Venus and Mercury and everything conjunct Saturn in the North Node is a lot of people are like, we have to give this up. We don't know where we're going, but we have to give this up. And we have to just come to terms with the fact that this is the end of the road. Some of us aren't ready to take that leap. We're kind of being pushed the next, like, you know, week or two with Venus and Saturn conjunct. But I feel like for you, if you start looking and if you just put it out there, whether that's you going and updating your resume, talking to somebody, you know, looking at a few job, you know, ads and things, you're going to realize that you can take your skill set, you can take your experience, and you're going to be welcome in other places. Okay, you will be able to find other things because doors are basically opening for you. Because right now, while you're doing this kind of back and forth here with the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Swords, emotionally, you're just going to stay in the same place because you're going to feel like you're not making any headway and you're not really liking the dynamic and how you're being treated. And then you get frustrated because you're like, I'm never going to get anywhere. And then it's just the same thing over and over and over. So something has to change about the way that you're approaching how you're looking at your job. And I would say for your skill set or your experience, there are different positions or different things that you can kind of fill. You don't have to be limited to just one thing. She says, I'm trying to get other similar certifications. I've been interviewing for months to find a different subject area. Look for this opening over the next 2 months. You might have to broaden your horizons a little bit. Look out of your immediate kind of location of where you've been looking. It can also mean that there are up and coming positions that are going to be open. So they're looking to fill a position that is currently filled, but they know that somebody is going to be leaving. So it's going to give you a little bit more flexibility as you're kind of transitioning from one role to another. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good on you, hitting the treadmill on a Friday night. All right, we have got Amanda. And Amanda says, hey Candace, I've asked about the same relationship more times than I should. I know, right? However, he talks a good game and for some reason I can't seem to move on from him. Am I just being naive? Should I give this Cancer sun, Sag rising, another chance? Is it a good idea? I'm a 29-degree Virgo rising, Cap, Moon, and Sun in Taurus. Cap, Virgo rising, Cap, Sun, and Moon in Taurus. So, Earth Mama. So we got another one who is a 29-degree rising. Sounds like you're going through the same thing as Alana. So you've got Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house cusp right now, where the retrogrades have been. So there's a lot of like, can I trust this person? Maybe it's a good idea. You know, are they what they say they are? If you've made it through, I mean, I don't know if he came back around over the last month or so with the retrogrades, but if you've made it through this period and you guys are still, you know, communicating well, let's see. Saturn and Neptune is going to still be on and off of your 7th house cusp really until like the beginning of next year. The true test is going to be when you're having eclipses in Pisces in your 7th over the fall. And 29 degrees is critical. So I feel like 29 degrees of Pisces is the most hidden, the most emotional, the most sensitive, like the most crazy sometimes. Others, not you. And you're going to see that, you know, when Saturn and Neptune go into Aries, it's going to be like, okay, are they going to follow that up with action? Because Pisces is what they've done in the past, what they've been hiding, what they didn't want to let go, or what they didn't want to show you, or what they were avoiding. Now with Aries, Saturn and Neptune, it's going to be like, all right, you're going to be able to see much more clearly if they're actually, you know, walking the walk and talking the talk, if they are taking the initiative, if they are also being responsible, if they're being mature, right? And if they're seeing themselves clearly, because I have found all my Virgo risings the last couple of years are like, what is it with my partners? They're just not aware. And it took until I saw Saturn and Neptune go into Aries that I was like, holy shit, because I'm a Libra rising. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a thing. But it's going to be more obvious with Aries if they're acting out selfishly or impulsively, and if there is, you know, not a sense of them taking it seriously. Let's just call it that. Saturn is about what's serious. So let's see, what can we tell Amanda about this dude? He came back around during the retrograde. The cards that I get are the 8 of Coins, the 6 of Wands, and the Temperance card. So to me, it kind of feels like with the 8 of Coins that you're like, we have some work to do here. It's a work in progress. But I feel like this isn't so much about you doing it. It's about you looking at it being like, okay, if he's coming back around, he wants to be in a relationship with me, he's got to do the work. And the only way that he's going to be able to prove that to you is through time and repetition, right? Because the Eight of Coins is about doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Now, this can be good where if he's showing you that he's showing up, he's being mature, he's being committed, he means what he says, and he does it, and he's, reliable, right? Then you could be like, okay, I've seen this enough to know that I can start to trust him again. However, same thing goes with the Eight of Coins, that if you're seeing a pattern, if they are repetitively doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, you need to be aware of this. This is very important, right? And he might say, well, I'm working on it, or I'm trying, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And that could be his health, his habits. It could be his job. It could also be just about him being more aware and vulnerable. Six of Wands is saying, like, you've already kind of gone along with this. Like, you guys are already kind of like doing this thing. So it may not be that you're officially back together, but the Six of Wands is like, we're together, things are good, it's joyous, we're having a good time, it's going well, like, we're feeling well received by each other. We're really kind of enjoying being in the moment, and like everybody's happy. So it does seem like you're already kind of in the process of like that rekindling. And maybe, looking at the Eight of Wands, like you realize that he has some work to do. Nobody's perfect, but you're trying to be present in the moment, and you're like, I really want this. And like, I really want this person. And maybe, right now there is like a sense of you going, I just want to see how things go. Not really a commitment to the future, but you want to see how things go. She said, I was worried about drinking with him, and he says that he's going to do all of these things, but he doesn't. Well, that's the unfortunate thing about the Saturn-Neptune transit in the 7th house, is that you're going to see whether it's friendships, if it's romantic relationships, spouses, business partners. Neptune there is basically saying that, sure, they could be drinking, right? They could be drugging, but it could also mean that they're escaping. There's escapism tendencies, and that they're going through something and they don't know how to process it, and they're leaning into habits. Neptune is alcohol. Saturn, when Saturn shows up, right, that's going to be about, on one hand, needing to be more responsible, but it's also going to be about creating a boundary. And so Saturn and Neptune, when it comes together, it's like, okay, boom, are we not drinking? Are you no longer drinking? Are we not drinking together? Like something like that can happen. And that's interesting because you also have the Temperance card, which is about balance, moderation. This is also about timing. This is about healing. Literally, this is the card that's about kind of like getting your ducks in order. And it can mean that timing plays an important role here. It can mean that this is somebody who is going through a healing process, and maybe it's hard for you to kind of watch that dynamic play out. But it can also mean that within time, things can actually improve. But I would say this to any late degree Virgo rising, early degree Libra rising with Saturn and Neptune in the 7th house, is like, you're going to see people who are going to have drinking issues, drugging issues. You're going to see people who are going to come in that are going to be lying and not honest about stuff or hiding things. And you're especially going to see that with the late degrees of Virgo, because Pisces is very sneaky. So I would be more kind of like, okay, is he telling you he's doing things and then you find out that, he's not doing it, or vice versa, right? Like that's going to be something you're going to want to watch for. The other thing that you're going to want to be mindful of is the impact that he has on you, because the Temperance card can be saying, is he throwing you off kilter? Virgo risings are super all about communication and orderly things and health and scheduling, and they want to have everything perfect. And you can feel like, as Saturn and Neptune are in your 7th house, partners are evasive, they're hot and cold, they're messy, sometimes they're MIA, and it can make you feel like mental, like you're trying to fix someone or trying to fix something. When you see that happening, no. Saturn kind of showing up in conjunction with Neptune, I think over the next 2 or 3 months, is going to show you where the boundary is and whether or not they're having boundary issues. If you need to lay down the law and be like, look, I don't want to have to, tell you what to do or what not to do. Certainly Saturn's connection to your 5th house is about romantic relationships and commitment. And it can mean that you're having issues really seeing or envisioning a long-term relationship with somebody who is not acting mature or who is not being responsible with your emotions or your feelings. So this is going to be something you're going to deal with. It does look like he is on the path to healing, but he's also going to have to show you through repetition in a positive way that it's not just him telling you, it's him showing you. And I don't have a problem with you guys kind of hanging out with the Six of Wands right now. It looks like this is going to be a feel it out period for like the next 6 weeks. But it would not surprise me while you are seeing Saturn and Neptune retrograde back, which will be in the fall, that there is going to be some kind of reassessment. If you go and look at the eclipses that are going to happen in September, you're going to have a solar eclipse on your ascendant. Okay, that is going to be ruled by Mercury. Mercury is going to be at conjunct your ascendant, which means you're going to have a serious conversation, matters of the heart, be talking about something about what you do or don't want in relationships. That eclipse will oppose Saturn and Neptune in the 7th, which means you're going to be saying something like, this is how I feel, this is what I need for us to evolve, this is what I need you to do. And it's going to be definitely a meeting of the minds as to whether or not you guys are on the same page. So see how it goes for the next couple months. Watch for the habits. Focus on consistency on his part. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Amanda. Unfortunately, that's a really common theme with some of the transits on the 7th house cusp right now. So be mindful of that, especially when they retrograde. I'm pretty sure that's about everybody for the night. Let me just double check and make sure I didn't miss anybody. No, I did not. So I will be back. I'm going to be here on Sunday. I just put together my astro weather for you guys. I'll be here Sunday morning. We're going to talk all about the Mars-Pluto opposition, why it's intense, how to navigate the intensity, and kind of find ways to diffuse the conflict that's going on out in the world. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm here every Friday doing my live readings. Next week will be the new moon in Taurus. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. If you celebrate Easter, have a happy Easter, and I will catch you guys all back here very soon. Take care.